The one who boasts should boast in this. God says that He understands me and that He knows me. It's from that knowledge of God that everything else flows.
The whole business of the Christian gospel is to bring us to God. To bring us to God.
The primary question that comes in then is, what kind of God is there? Who is He? What is His character?
God calls us to so gaze on Him, to see Him for who He is, to know Him, to walk in true intimate fellowship with Him, that out of knowing Him, we desire for our life to accurately reflect Him.
There's no doubt in my mind that what a man thinks of God clearly indicates everything about his life of any consequence whatsoever.
All the decisions that we make, that we see other people making, the root issue there is what that person believes or doesn't believe about God, who they think He is. The great work of our lives ought to be to get to know this God and to get to know Him as He's revealed Himself to us on the pages of the Bible.
You think of all the people we think are interesting and fascinating. Is not God the most interesting being, most captivating, most attractive, most impressive, most beneficial, and of such infinite variety, ageless, that you could never possibly find His company mundane and monotonous?
Each week's DVD is broken up into 3 parts. There's the historical introduction, the sermon, and the interview section. Each lesson opens with Dr. Snyder on location at sites in England, Scotland, Wales, and the United States. These locations are associated with figures from church history, men and women whose lives have illustrated the truths that we'll be studying that week. After a half-hour message from Dr. Snyder in the sermon section, we hear from other contemporary ministers whose lives and labors reflect these same truths. These include Paul Washer, Conrad Mbewe, Richard Owen Roberts, Jordan Thomas, Avian Evans, Andrew Davis, and Anthony Mathenia. These men have ministered in diverse cultural climates from Peru, Ethiopia, Virginia, and Memphis to New Zealand, England, Wales, Ireland, and Zambia. Their comments help to underline the fact that these truths are eternal truths about an eternal God who is never altered by any temporal or geographic context. The second essential component to the study is the daily devotional workbook. The workbook is made up of 60 lessons that take us into the Scriptures 5 days a week for 12 weeks, and there's a particular emphasis on the passages where God describes Himself. This is the most crucial aspect of the study, and here's why. There are a lot of voices in the study. We hear what voices from Christian history have to say about God, we hear what Dr. Snyder and the other contemporary ministers have to say about God, but far superior to all those voices, we must go into the Scriptures and hear what the eternal, immutable God has to say about Himself. Each lesson could be done in as little as a half hour, but the best benefit would come from revisiting the lesson throughout the day, meditating on the Scriptures there, and humbly seeking the Lord, asking Him to reveal Himself. When you said, "Seek my face," my heart said to you, "Your face, O Lord, I shall seek." There's a good bit of writing and note-taking that you'll do in your workbook, so each person will want to have their own copy. You'll work through the workbook all week and then watch the week's DVD together as a group. Again, the idea is to hear first what God says about Himself in the Scriptures through the workbook, then to hear from all the ministers, both past and present, on the DVDs at the end of the week. Each DVD session is under 55 minutes long, but we've found that the best context is together as a small group. Watch the DVD, then take a half hour or so to give the group an opportunity to discuss what they've been meditating on in the Scriptures all week through the workbook. Then pray together that God would be pleased to continue to open His Word and make Himself known. If you'd like to know more about this study, you can visit us online at beholdyourgod.org.